YouTube's the one that I really want to be live on because that saves our video so that I can download it and then send it over to the... Okay. Yeah, we're live on YouTube.
Excellent.
Go.
Excellent.
Excellent indeed. Welcome back to the Homes Politicast. I am here with Jim Cooper.
Yep.
We've got a lot to discuss today. It's been an interesting week. Lot going on. We've got school shootings, and Democrats are already calling for guns to be seized, and all kinds of fun stuff. So let's just jump right into it. I'm Anon Don.
And I'm Jim.
And this is the Homes Politicast. All right. Awesome. I kind of like that opener. It makes me feel like a video editor. Give me just 1 second to unfreeze our screen because when I change scenes, it does. Okay, perfect. We are on. So,
okay.
First, we are going to just... you know what? What do you want to discuss? Critical race theory in the schools? Or...
Whatever your pleasure is. What do you want to
All right, we'll just start off with the shooting thing. So, there's been a shooting in Oxford. Everybody in Michigan has heard about that by now. And, of course, we've all seen the tweets and everything. Everybody's going crazy on Twitter. Everybody's calling for legislators to just do something. So, interesting. Actually, I guess we got 2 articles on this, so we'll just go through them. Jim, you want to read this one?
Okay. Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald said during Friday's news conference that Jennifer had texted Ethan saying, "Don't do it," as news of the shooting went public. The prosecutor said Jennifer Crumbley texted her son at 1:22 p.m. and at 1:37 p.m. His father, James Crumbley, called 911 to report that his gun was missing. He told the operator that his son may have been the active shooter, the Hill reports. The mother had met with the school just hours earlier to discuss a drawing that he had done of himself shooting another person. At the meeting, James and Jennifer Crumbley were shown the drawing and were advised that they were required to get their son into counseling within 48 hours, she said. The parents reportedly refused to remove their child from the school, so he remained in the building and began shooting just 2 hours later. McDonald said that the parents failed to ask their son if he had his gun with him or where his gun was located, and failed to inspect his backpack for the presence of the gun, which he had with him. On Monday, a teacher also caught him browsing online to purchase ammunition. After the school contacted the parents, the mother texted Ethan saying, "LOL, I'm not mad at you. You have to learn not to get caught." McDonald has said that the actions of the parents were, quote, "far beyond negligence," end quote, in this case. The troubled teen's father had purchased the 9mm Sig Sauer?
I don't know.
SP
Sauer, I think, yeah.
2022 gun that was later used in the massacre. 4 days before the shooting, Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard said during a press conference, briefing.
I think that's yeah, we've got a lot of the information here. We don't need to go into the entire thing. Obviously, awful thing. Yeah. Awful thing to happen in a Michigan school. Everybody is mourning the death of these children. Everybody thinks that this is a terrible thing. But we're going to have to push back on some of the people calling for stuff to be done. Obviously, because some of the stuff that is being called to be done is not constitutional. So, we've got an interesting little tidbit here from the prosecutor about the parents and their negligence. We've heard a little bit about it.
This is McDonald?
Yeah, this is McDonald right here.
Old McDonald.
Old McDonald. This is a press conference.
You said, we need to do better than these two cases with tragedies like this. It's extremely rare for parents to be charged with school shootings. Are you trying to set a new standard, or is the evidence simply overwhelming in this case?
I have tremendous compassion and empathy for parents who have children who are struggling and at risk for whatever reason. And I am by no means saying that an active shooter situation should always result in a criminal prosecution against parents. But the facts of this case are so egregious. Reading this document, looking at it, reading the words, "help me," with a gun, blood everywhere. This doesn't just impact me as a prosecutor and a lawyer, it impacts me as a mother. The notion that a parent could read those words and also know that their son had access to a deadly weapon that they gave him is unconscionable, and I think it's criminal. It is criminal.
Yeah, she had to fix that there because it's not just I think that's criminal. It was criminal.
Yeah.
So when I first heard that they were going to prosecute the parents, I was like, they better have a rock solid case. Because, obviously we remember Kyle Rittenhouse.
Right.
The prosecutor brought charges, and they had nothing. They had absolutely nothing. So that was my first thought, is that this better be rock solid. And being aware of the facts of the case now, I'm like, yeah, they should be prosecuted. For sure. So the father went out, bought him the gun with him there. It was his birthday present. He was posting pictures of it. They definitely should have made sure of where that gun was when they started. How do you not start questioning?
Yeah.
When your child has got... actually, she said earlier in this report he had a bullet or he had drawn a bullet and it said blood everywhere over the top of the bullet, and there was a picture of a person being shot, and yes, they should definitely be charged criminally. I think they're on the run right now.
Yeah, the last I heard, they were on the run.
Yeah, so hopefully they are caught and penalized. Now,
you can just tell the quality of the parents. Their son has been charged with murder, and forget it, we're out of town, we're leaving.
Oh yeah,
Just who cares? I don't care about him. I don't care what happens to him. We're out of here.
yep.
They just left their son to dangle in the wind. What's he supposed to do? I'm not expressing sympathy as far as that he doesn't deserve to be punished. But just as parents, this whole thing is just very, very sad.
It is. And it's hard to, really, man. It's hard to go through. Mm-hmm. This is a school in Michigan.
Yeah.
This is something that it hits really close to home.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some of the people on Twitter, they're in this district. Some of the people that follow me are in this district, so they are going through it, for sure. And definitely, there's a bunch of fundraising, going on. I'm not sure what fundraising exactly is going to do. Help bury the kids, get some of the people in the hospital through. So definitely, if you can, donate to that. It is a good thing to do. Now, some Democrats have pounced on this opportunity.
What, you're kidding me?
I know. Yeah. It's crazy.
I've never heard of the Democrats jumping on a tragedy.
So they certainly are. So, Miss Senator Rosemary Bayer, here, Democrat, we must find a way through this political gridlock. We must figure out how to talk with each other, not at each other. Well, that's an interesting perspective. Talk with each other, not at each other. But the fact of the matter, Jim, can you remind me? There's some law in the books, I feel like, about people being able to own guns.
There is. It's on a parchment.
Uh-huh. Parchment. Some of the young kids might not know what that is.
Like it's an old type of paper,
Okay.
and I think they used quill
Okay.
ink.
Yeah.
And
So very outdated then.
oh yes, it's very old, brittle.
Yeah.
If you breathe on it, it would fall apart.
Yeah. So, regardless, this law is on the books. Second Amendment says that Congress shall not make a law that infringes on the right to keep and bear arms. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got this law on the books, and that is for. I mean, obviously, the people writing it did not envision, keeping guns in the hands of, children. This was written for a reason, and that is to keep tyrannical governments from oppressing their people. So there are many conversations that we can have. I think some of them are legitimate. Talking about securing our schools. Most schools are secured in some way. Some schools are quite a bit more lax than others in their security, but
right.
There's a lot of violence perpetrated. We had 6 people killed with a SUV. Why are Democrats not calling for they are calling for restrictions on SUVs too, but not for that reason. They've kind of covered that that attack up. Some thoughts from you, like what where is this problem coming from?
You mean as far as this individual or school shooting in general? Or
school shootings in general, I think.
Yeah, that is a tough one. I am not sure how that started. It just out of nowhere. I think it was Columbine was the first one. I could be wrong.
I think so.
But I think that was the first school, or at least the first major school shooting. And since then, there's, every couple of years, there's been a major school shooting.
Yeah.
And I don't know what is causing it.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it's happening.
Now, I do have a couple theories. One of them is, we're teaching an entire generation that we're a godless, animalistic people.
Well, yeah.
There's no real accountability. There's no real reckoning coming for anyone. I mean, there are so many children that are totally without direction, totally without purpose, and I mean, these children. It's easy to get a hold of a gun in America. And if you've got a bunch of people walking around without purpose, without direction, just thinking that they're animals, basically, it's not too surprising to see them treating others as animals. Gunning them down, just walking through a school, dead-faced, just taking lives.
If we are no different than animals, it's just like hunting.
Yeah.
You shoot a deer, you don't cry because that deer has a mother, and you shoot the deer because that's what you do.
Yeah.
And you see a kid, you don't think about, that kid has a life, it has potential, it has a family. No, it's just a thing that you kill.
Yep.
So yeah, I can see your point that. And that's actually brought about by the whole abortion argument that that if we can discard a child in the womb, then they become less than human. They become something expendable. And so it's not a huge stretch then to say if it's expendable now, and then when it becomes inconvenient, it becomes expendable. When they're born and they become inconvenient, well, what's the difference between right now and 6 months ago? If it's inconvenient, I'm getting rid of it.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of a mindset that there's no. I know they use the term sanctity of life, but there is no that idea that there's a certain sanctity to life, that it's precious, that it's valuable, that it's, and it's more important than anything else, like animals, or that we're a different species. We're above those things. We're not just animals to be rounded up and put in camps, or be given different shots and things like that. We're people, individual people. But yeah, we've kind of forgotten that.
Yeah,
because of abortion and all kinds of other things. It's just become where we are no different than a tree. You cut down a tree if you have to. Well, we'll cut down a human if we have to. It's not. It becomes what I want is more important than my needs are more important than everyone else's needs.
Yeah.
And so if a person gets in my way, just like I would, cut down a tree, just like I would kill a grizzly bear, I'll kill a human if they try to stop me from accomplishing my goal. But there is a difference between a tree and a grizzly bear and a human. Those three aren't compatible.
No, and I think it starts with the idea that if human life has any value at all, it's
right.
given by a creator.
Right.
If there is no creator, then we are just hunks of meat walking around.
Right.
So it's interesting to see, and it's odd to see a bunch of atheistically mindset people. I mean, obviously they can't live in their own reality. They mourn the children's death because they have to. They can't live as though human beings don't have value. But we teach that in schools, and then we're surprised when children think that human beings don't have value.
Right, yeah.
And so, I think there are other things that we can, number one, public school is a huge problem. Putting 30 children underneath one adult, that's a stupid idea, I think, to begin with. They're going to take their social cues from each other. They're not going to be, I think the idea was to have them looking up to the teacher, to be emulating the teacher. But why have parents given that up? They have totally turned away from that. They say, I don't want my children to emulate me. I'm going to send them to this public school, and all these people that I barely know are going to be molding and shaping my children.
Yeah. And
if you're going to trust an educator to mold and shape your child's mind, you should trust them enough to put a gun in their pocket. That is one thing we can do, is arm the teachers. Allow teachers to have a gun if they want.
If they want, yeah.
Yeah.
If they want.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to force them.
Right, yeah.
But if a child knows that there are teachers in the school with a gun that will stop them, might that not be a barrier? I mean, it's a simple enough solution. And I don't think, again, if you're trusting this teacher to mold the child's mind, saying that, oh no, what if the teacher goes off on a rampage? Well, that's just ridiculous. Come on. Yeah, it's possible, I guess, but
it is humanly possible, but it's so unlikely. I mean, really, would you not see the warning signs? When they were, this person is not fit to be a teacher. I think somewhere along the lines, I mean, they might slip through, but somewhere along the lines they'd be weeded out.
Oh yeah.
You'd be like, this person is not qualified to be teaching children. They have a horrible temper. They flip out over little things, so we don't want them around our kids.
Yeah.
Even if they didn't have a gun, we don't want them around our kids.
Absolutely. And, I mean, there is something also to be said for the school administrators. This child should not have been in school. He should have been sent home. He should have, had to have gotten a mental evaluation before he came back. I mean, there are so many things that you can do just to keep this from happening. A metal detector in the school, clear backpacks. There are so many things that you can do to stop this kind of thing from happening. But all that the Democrats want to talk about is banning guns, more gun laws, as if criminals that are intent on breaking the law are going to be stopped by a law. I mean, it's kind of a silly.
Well, I mean, this kid here didn't. They followed the law.
Yeah.
He got the gun. He had his father buy him a gun.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't steal a gun. He didn't it's against the law to sell a gun to a 15-year-old. So, no law was broken here.
Yeah.
So that's the point that,
what law are you going to make?
right. Yeah. How are you going to make a law to make that not happen? Because if he wants it, he can get it.
Yeah. There has to be other solutions. And
Yeah.
I think Democrats, they have to stop being disingenuous with this. They have to stop immediately thinking, oh, now we can make gun laws. They have to be able to, as Miss Rosemary Byer said, they have to be able to talk with us and not talk at us. I mean, if we just keep on getting the same tired old excuse, or this same tired old idea of more gun laws, we're not going to get anywhere. There are other options. There are other avenues to explore other than decimating the Constitution and taking away our individual right to own a gun. And I think we need to have that conversation.
Yeah.
So.
It's a much deeper issue, and that's what we're kind of talking about here. We've kind of touched on a little bit, like with abortion and things. There's a much deeper issue. This is just the surface.
Yeah.
Like, well, let's ban guns. Let's put in some, metal detectors. We're not really addressing the problem. We're just trying to stop a lot of the symptoms from showing.
Yep.
But there is a deep problem about, like the sanctity of life and people's view of themselves, and other people, how they view themselves and how they view other people. I remember school is kind of a cold place.
Yeah.
It's not, because because they have like 7 class periods and they have 30 or some kids. The teacher cannot build a relationship with all those kids for 1 hour a day.
No.
And so the teacher has they're nice. I'm not saying the teachers were mean, but it was a very distant relationship because, you kind of knew them, but you didn't really know them. You knew who they were, but you didn't feel comfortable. Like, I wouldn't feel comfortable going to my teacher and talking about anything personal.
Right. And I don't think you should. Like, that's a total stranger. Like,
so, I agree with your point, but I'm just saying, as far as a school, like the school shooter, there was, we took God out of schools. Now there's no love and kindness and compassion in the schools. A teacher putting their arm around a kid and, like, what's going on? How can I help you? That would be like a sexual assault, if a man put his arm around a teenage girl or vice versa, or a girl around a teenage boy, it could be misconstrued, and they can't do that. They can't touch you, and and they can't, well, why don't you stay back and we'll talk? That's also
that's dangerous.
Really inappropriate behavior, and you can't pray with them, and you can't talk to them about religion or anything. So so it's a very cold kind of a relationship that you have. It's not built on anything, and so school, it's just, I imagine if you're feeling alone, you're not feeling warm and comforted at school. You're feeling just outside, and it's just it's a much deeper thing than just whether he had a gun. There are a lot of issues. We scratched the surface on that too, about his parents, and there's a lot of mistakes made.
Absolutely.
But there is a deep discussion that we really should have about what we're doing to our kids. What is happening? What environment are they growing up in? How are, and it's more than just feeding them facts. Schools should not just be, it should be more personal, where more one-on-one, where the teacher knows the kid, knows what's going on, the struggles. I'm not talking about personal, but like if they're struggling with spelling, like this kid has trouble spelling, or stuff like that, they know that what to work on with that kid.
Yeah.
They know where to push that kid. Like, okay, how about you try to work on this? I'm not talking about a kumbaya kind of, like, well, come and tell me all your personal problems, that kind of thing. But
Yeah. No, at the very least.
But they should know. They should know where the kid is and academically, and where that kid needs to be. Like, he struggles a little bit in math, but he's really good in science. How can we kind of move this thing together, and how can we, there's things you can do, but you can't do that when you spend 1 hour, and you only have 1 hour with 30 kids.
Yeah.
A day. There's not really any impact you can make with them.
Yeah, and at the very least, I mean, the issue should not be about guns right now. We should be talking about what we can do within the schools. And speaking of awful things taught in school, they told us the critical race theory wasn't being taught in our schools. Here in Michigan, of course, that tired old leftist line, critical race theory is only taught in law school.
January. Critical race theory, unfortunately, has passed the House in order to be banned from use in schools. And if school districts
Michigan flag right there.
use it by memory, it would bring a financial penalty to the district. Our curriculum is deeply using critical race theory, especially in social studies, but you'll find it in English language arts and the other disciplines. We were very intentional about creating curriculum, infusing materials, and embedding critical race theory within our curriculum. As was stated by many speakers today, it's because students need to understand the truth of history, understand the history of this country, to better understand who they are, and about the injustices that have occurred in this country. January.
Wow, okay. So, seems that all of the leftists that want to keep on telling us that critical race theory isn't in the schools, they might have been lying. I don't know. I'm gonna assume the best intention.
Yeah.
I'm gonna assume that they're just ignorant.
Yeah. They just did not know.
Huh?
They didn't know.
They didn't know. But here we are with the news. We are telling them. I mean, I know the mainstream media has seen this. Craig Mauger has seen this. I'm sure that all the usual suspects are here. All the people that tell the media that all this lying is going, or all this critical race theory is happening in the schools, and yet we still get articles right out of. I mean, let's find one here.
All right.
Because I'm pretty sure
Critical race.
it won't take us too long to find.
Detroit Superintendent right there.
Washington Examiner. Let's see if we can find. Oh, look at that. MLive actually says that critical race theory banning critical race theory would censor teachers. Let's see. Because I'm sure that I've seen articles from like the Detroit News, saying that critical. Oh, let's see, Michigan Advance. See what they say about critical race theory. Let's see. Oh yeah, critical race theory is a college-level concept that is more than 4 decades old and is not part of the K through 12 curriculum in most Michigan schools.
Oh.
Well, that's in most Michigan schools. Well, this one it's deeply embedded. Deeply embedded. Susan J. Demas. Your paper is either lying or intentionally trying to mislead the people of Michigan. Why is that? Well, because I don't think the papers are on your side. I don't think the papers are trying to be for the people. Oh goodness. What happened to my mouse? Sad.
Oh.
Oh, I know what happened.
What?
I pushed the wrong button.
Oh.
And I switched it to how come I can't? Oh, because I opened it. Whoops, that's me being dumb. Okay. So, let's see. I'm sure I've seen articles just within the past oh, look at this.
Oh.
Critical race theory is not taught in our schools. Daily Midland News. Look at this. Oh my goodness. You've been duped by national GOP leaders who need another dog whistle. Look at that. Huh. Weird. The media is not going to tell you about this. They're just going to keep on telling you that critical race theory isn't taught in our schools. So, obviously, Democrats are very worried about critical race theory not being allowed to be taught in schools. So they're doing something about it. Look at this. Schools to get around CRT bans by just beating white kids with sticks. So, I'll take this one. Austin, Texas, critical race theory has been controversial, with some finding it to be racist itself. This has led to some states, such as Texas and Florida, banning teaching it to children. Some teachers, though, have found a way around the ban so they can still pass on their progressive ideals to young students. I was just thinking, what's the essence of critical race theory, said teacher, Audrey Davidson. And it occurred to me, we can still honor the spirit of CRT without actually teaching it. And that spirit is beating white kids with sticks for being white. With this new practice, carefully not labeled CRT, the teachers will go to white students and say, this is because you're white, and whack the kid on the head with a stick. This way, everybody learns whiteness is bad without CRT ever coming up. Ah, goodness. I'm so glad that that schools will still teach white kids that they're bad.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, Democrats are going to say, of course, that this is just racism, that we just don't want to teach the real history surrounding, the black experience in our country. And, I went through public school, and I remember getting taught about the civil rights movement and slavery and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I was never told that it was my fault for being a white person. Now, obviously, that has changed a little bit. Many children are now being taught that it is bad. They're bad people for being white, and that they are responsible for the sins of our forefathers. I think that's enough about that. Critical race theory is going away. We're about to ban it here in Michigan. We're going to join the great states of Florida and Texas and not teach our children to hate themselves. So, we move on to the Grand Valley Lanthorn because their cartoons are always so insightful and brilliantly crafted, very funny cartoons. I always enjoy reading them. I particularly liked this one. So here we have for our audio only listeners, Burnout Finals Week. There's a bunch of this girl is carrying maybe.
It looks like a girl.
I think it's a girl. She's got a very prominent chin, so I was like, it could be a dude with long hair, but I think it's a girl. Burnout Finals work. A bunch of boulders on her back, and she's saying, this semester can't get any harder. And there's your little spore, your COVID-19 spore. Oh, it can. Your peers brought me back from break. Now, we talked about the problem in schools. Jim, do you see any problem with what this is telling this girl about her peers?
That it's their fault?
Yeah. I mean, look at that. Oh, it's your peers' fault. It's your fellow students' fault that this semester might just get harder. Now, I'm not going to go around and shoot anybody on this campus, but this idea that the unvaccinated people, and this is explicitly against the unvaccinated,
right,
because their tired old line has been that the vaccinated can't spread the disease, the virus. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, we know that's a lie.
Right.
We know that colleges are misleading us on this whole thing, but I've seen many students that actually believe this. They hear the college say that the unvaccinated are the only problem here, and they actually are getting mad at unvaccinated people. So, obviously, I've said before, this paper is college propaganda. It's put out at the behest of Grand Valley State University. They have faculty on their board, their editorial board, Just more propaganda, unfortunately, against the unvaccinated, of which there are many. There are many unvaccinated here on Grand Valley's campus. But it seems that the Lanthorn is of two minds. Jim, would you mind reading through this article? It says, students confused by differing COVID-19 capacity rules. Maybe they're onto something. We'll find out.
While many places in the country have already begun to host in-person events again, such as sports, concerts, and plays, the question of when and where to implement COVID-19 safety restrictions has become a new struggle. Capacity limits are being enforced differently across venues in the wider Grand Rapids community,
No.
as well as at Grand Valley State University. Sporting events at college and professional levels have a large fan base and are important in stimulating local economies. As a result, the return of mass spectatorship for sporting events in late 2020 and early 2021 was a welcome change. However, the shift from limited to full capacity in sports stadiums took place very quickly, with little to no protective measures in place. Grand Rapids sports venues such as Deltaplex and the Van Andel Arena are currently operating under normal conditions despite the rising number of cases in West Michigan. In contrast, the arts and entertainment industry has taken the longest to recover from COVID-19 and still have many restrictions in place. The DeVos Performance Hall in Grand Rapids, for example, requires that all audience members wear a mask and have proof of vaccination upon entry. While the hall is currently operating at full capacity, the decision to do so was made in late September 2021, several months after the same decision was made for sporting events. Arts events at GVSU are still facing restrictive measures concerning event capacity and face coverings. Students like Megan Wolter in the Music, Theater, and Dance Department said they feel they have been hit the hardest by restrictions. We still have to wear masks when we're performing on stage, and we're at about 25% capacity in Louis Armstrong Theater, our performance space, Wolter said. For our senior capstone project, where we make our own dance, we are only allowed to invite 6 people per night, so the capacity for that room is about 30 people. While capacity restrictions may be frustrating for student performers, they are enforced with their own well-being in mind. GVSU is currently facing COVID-19 Alert Level 2, meaning that firmer on-campus restrictions, such as dining options, face coverings, and events, are in place to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Still, it is difficult for some students to reconcile the issue of safety with the lack of audience able to appreciate their work.
I think that's quite enough of that garbage. So, the Grand Valley Lanthorn is recognizing that if they follow the money, they will find where the discrepancies lie. Now, I've seen some pictures. Grand Valley Lanthorn has posted pictures of what's going on at their sporting events. Their football games, I mean, people were packed in there. Shoulder to shoulder, no masks, no nothing. But I've also been to a couple of the music concerts. And, music students are limited to 2 tickets for friends and family, which means basically you bring your parents, and that's about it. The hall of, I think they mentioned, no, we didn't get to the point where they mentioned Louis Armstrong Theater. But the Louis Armstrong, it's in the next. Okay, so we're at about 25% capacity in Louis Armstrong Theater, our performance space. So the capacity in that room is about 30 people. 30 people in a theater that seats, it's got to be more than 120.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that theater seats about 350 to 400. So, I mean, the Lanthorn says that they're enforced with their own well-being in mind. But you would think that would apply to the football team too, right? I mean, are we not concerned for the well-being of the football team?
I guess not.
I guess not. Well,
it's just like riots. The COVID doesn't spread very rapidly when you're sweating, I guess. When you're fighting.
Yeah. When you're fighting the system of oppression and white privilege.
Yeah, it's okay to be in close proximity and not wear a mask.
Yeah.
But if you're playing the flute, oh my goodness,
you better watch out.
That virus is gonna fly out there and infect everybody.
Oh yeah. I've seen some of so last year, some of our flutes were wearing these masks, and if any of our flutes see this, I am not making fun of you. All right, I'm just saying you kind of look like ducks. All right, these masks. So they came out and they were like a flat kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they had this hole in the side that they would put their flutes through.
Oh,
because the wind had to go all the way across.
Right. Yeah.
But then stop. And so these things, they looked ridiculous, and I am so sorry to you flute players that had to wear that. I felt bad for you. But I mean, it's they keep on with these ridiculous restrictions.
Yeah, it is stupid.
But you go to the football game,
and there's no rhyme or reason. I mean, at least if they were consistent.
Oh, there's rhyme or reason.
I mean,
the money.
Oh, okay, yeah, but okay.
they don't get any money from tickets to the Louis Armstrong Theater.
Right, yeah.
Nobody's paying to go see the Grand Valley Concert Band or the Wind Symphony or the Symphonic Wind Ensemble. Yeah. Nobody pays for that. They pay big bucks to go see that football game. Grand Valley's raking in the cash. It's kind of like when Pfizer started coming out with these COVID shots, and Anthony Fauci just started dumping money in their laps. And then they started coming out with studies that say, 99% effective, and well, of course they're going to find it's 99% effective. They're getting buckets of public cash for their vaccine. Like, it's not hard to figure out, where all these restrictions and where the mandates are coming from. Like, you just follow the money. It's that easy.
And that's almost since the beginning of time.
Yep.
You can just follow the money, and that's perfect. Follow the money.
Follow the money.
Right here.
And we've actually we're looking at a report on it's not a report yet. It's being written up about a law firm that has been funding some very prominent colleges around Michigan.
Really?
Grand Valley State University being one of them. I'm going to get kicked out of this school. I know it. University of Michigan being another one. So they're basically paying these colleges to groom lawyers for their company. And so that report, Us Against Media, is doing a report on that. It's going to be coming out soon. I'm helping with it. Thus the idea that I'm going to be kicked out of college very soon. So we move. Us Against Media is an outlet that I've been writing for. Good outlet. Citizen journalists, not college educated commie stooges. I mean, college educated. Man, I can't really walk that one back, can I?
No. It's out there.
It's out there. It's out there. So, not all reporters are commie stooges. Just, they all, again, have a little bit of a money interest. So they want to make money. They don't want to give you they don't want to give you information about what the colleges are doing. They don't want to do any investigative reporting, because if a college tells all the students that a particular paper is unreliable because they've reported on the college, all the students will believe that, or at least a good majority of them will believe it without even questioning it.
Right.
As we've seen from the past 2 years. So these are citizen journalists. They have no money interest. They are making no money, and so they've got no reason to lie to you. I wouldn't say no reason to lie to you. There are some. I mean, you gotta trust but verify with every institution. They all skew left eventually. I'm sure that when this passes from the hands of Rachel Machero and John Clore, it's gonna just start moving to the left, as all institutions do. So, but for right now, this is a great place to get information. I'm not just saying that because I'm a journalist there. Maybe I am. Okay.
Yeah.
So, we'll, this is on the House Health Policy Committee today voted on House Bills 558 and 559. So I believe this was in our house, not the United States House. So
Legislature.
yes,
In the legislature.
yes,
Yeah.
in Michigan's legislature.
Yeah.
So here we go. Do you want to read this one, or you want me to?
I read the last one, so you can do it.
Okay, I guess I will. All right. So today in the House Health Policy Committee, and I think this actually was today. Oh, yesterday. So yesterday in the House Health Policy Committee, a package of bills were presented that would prevent human fetuses from being used in research. House Bill 5558, presented by Reps. Thomas Albert and Chair Brona Kale, would require written consent from a mother to conduct research to be performed on a dead embryo, fetus, or neonate, which is a newborn less than a month old. Otherwise, research will not be performed. It's been known that body parts in human fetuses have been trafficked, according to a 2007 article from The Blaze, and in more recent news, the University of Pittsburgh, Anthony Fauci's National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, allegedly sent taxpayer dollars to the University of Pittsburgh for grafting unborn fetus parts onto lab rats. So I'm just going through this for the first time. Wow. Representative Albert also mentioned that the University of Michigan received $389,000 for research on aborted fetuses in 2019. Wow.
I had no idea.
Wow. Yeah, this is a cash cow. Look at follow the money. These people are really good at following the money. Like I said, they're following the money with Michigan universities. They're following the money in Lansing too.
So no wonder that they're opposed to. Never mind. They're making so much money off of this.
Yeah.
That of course they don't want abortions banned.
Yeah. Of course not.
It has nothing to do with women's right to choose.
No.
It's really about the money. They
Yeah.
make tons of money off of these aborted fetuses.
Oh yeah. Because testing on dead human beings is that anyway. We'll not get into too much speculation. I'm going to lose my YouTube.
Yeah.
Maybe I already have. I don't know.
We might be gone.
Yeah. Okay. So I doubt it. I don't think anybody's watching too much. So we've only got like 3 followers. So they're not going to kick us off.
That's the nice thing about having small viewer count is, if we were huge, everything we said would be scrutinized, and tomorrow would be on MSNBC, and we can pretty much say what we want.
If we do get kicked off of YouTube, I think we've got another place to go. So I just have to go and beg John to let me use his streaming service. They're over at Us Against Media. They actually have a podcast as well. But that's neither here nor there yet. So these bills would help lock down and prevent the further crimes on humanity from happening. Human fetuses have been cut up, harvesting the heart, liver, and other organs without anesthetic, giving a fetus a painful, painstaking death. Wow. Again, not surprising. I know that they do this stuff, but it's just it's stomach churning to read.
It's hard to hear.
Yeah. So we're gonna skip a couple of these. You can go read the article. Yeah. So House Bill 559 would create, or 5,559 would create a 5-year felony for medical research using a dead embryo, fetus, or neonate. Representative Kale made it clear that these bills are not anti-abortion. These bills are about preventing a practice that is extremely inhumane and unethical. Kale mentioned that there are more ethical alternatives to promote research, and that there is a difference between a fresh fetus line and a fetal cell line. Fetal cell lines have been used from fetuses dating back to the 1960s and 70s and are still currently used today. Not only that, but umbilical cords, cord blood, placenta, bone marrow, and other tissues can be used as alternatives to fetuses. So that kind of comes to another topic. We're kind of low on time. I mean, not really. We can go as long as we want, but to respect the time of our viewers or listeners, that kind of brings us to another thing. The Supreme Court is about to. That's distracting. So the Supreme Court is about to maybe rule on, what is that? I'm drawing a blank.
Roe v. Wade.
Roe v. Wade, that's it. Roe v. Wade. So, they heard oral arguments, yesterday and the day before, I think, from either side. I'm just going to leave that up for a minute, let you look at that. So, they've been hearing arguments from either side. Justice Clarence Thomas is asked where the supposed right for privacy is in the Constitution, which that's a great question. Conservatives have been asking it for years since Roe versus Wade was decided. Now, one of the arguments that Democrats make for abortion is that it's precedent. There's precedent in the court. So we've got stare decisis, which they're all starry-eyed over stare decisis, and they really don't know what it means.
No.
I mean, they know they know what the definition is, but they don't know how it's used. So, Dred Scott was also stare decisis.
True.
That was precedent for a very long time.
Excellent.
When the Supreme Court makes a bad decision, you don't just say, "Oh, it's stare decisis."
Yeah.
Magical. You can't ever touch this because we love it.
Right.
No, not how it works. So, those are going to continue. We may have updates for you throughout the next week on the Supreme Court. Jim, anything else for our viewers, listeners?
No, I think we pretty much covered it.
Pretty much covered it. All right. Remember to subscribe to the YouTube or the Twitch or the the Twitter, whatever you're watching on. Leave a comment because we appreciate your feedback. For sure, unless it's a nasty one, like we have a comment here that's very unhelpful. It's just a nasty name, which of course I'm used to. I get called nasty names all the time on Twitter. This one I think is actually from Twitch. So
wow,
Youngo Plate. You can go over and check that out on Twitch if you want. It's just a dumb name. So
wow.
Yeah, so like it, subscribe it, share it on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook anymore because Facebook is becoming very quickly communist outpost. I mean, so is Twitter. Did you hear about Twitter's new rules before we go?
I did not.
Oh, yeah, you're not allowed to post a picture of anybody unless they consent to it. So
what? Yeah.
There goes citizen journalism on Twitter. Yeah, they're trying to shut it down. So, there are other media outlets. Please get on them. I mean, get off Twitter if you're on Twitter. Get off Facebook if you're on Facebook. I mean, I'm not going to beg you. I'm leaving them. They're not going to be helpful for very much longer. They're curating the information. So, if you like to have the information, to only have the information that your overlords want presented to you presented, I guess stay on Twitter and Facebook, but if you like to be able to find information like us, go to something else. I am on MeWe. I know not a lot of people are. There's also another one called Wixom.
I think that's what it's called.
Wixom, yeah. So there are other options. You're going to find alternative news on there. So, again, this is Anon Don.
And I'm Jim.
And, we'll see you next week. Crap, I didn't get the opener set up. Oh, no. The closer set up. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Whoops. No, stop streaming. No.